5, 4, 3. Hello everyone, Shaitan bringing you more MLGOrlando action. This is game number 2 of a best of 3 series on Shakuras Plateau between the pink Zerg Millennium Stephano in the bottom right corner and the red Protoss White Raw in the upper left corner. White Raw was able to take game number 1 on Antigua Shipyard with some really smart tactical choices. After losing his Colossi to a Roach Corruptor army, he made some Immortals. He decided to abandon the Colossus route entirely and then just do some heavy pressure on Stephano. He was able to then follow that up by taking out an additional base, forcing some really nice engagements that Stephano just wasn't able to recover from. And once the Protoss army gets going, if you're not able to keep its size down, not able to really limit the firepower that they have to bring down on you, the Zerg army is going to be very, very hard pressed to defeat it. We do see White Raw opening again with the Forge Fast Expand. It's one of the most popular builds on this map in PvZ, just because there's this ramp that can be very easily defended with a single cannon. If you suspect some kind of all-in, you can even drop a second cannon, and that makes you almost impervious to any sort of aggression. We'll see how Stephano decides to approach this. If he does the same build that he does last time, he got a decently quick hatchery, but then he delayed his third for a while in favor of getting Zergling speed, and got his third at about 30 supply instead of the more common about 20 to 23 supply that is really popular right now in response to a Forge Fast Expand. We see again that oh, what was this? White Raw is actually getting White Raw actually opened with a gateway, but it looks like he's going to be expanding just from the positioning of this sort of beginning of the wall. White Raw did drop down the pylon at the natural. He was able to deny the hatchery from going down, at least initially, forcing Stephano to make this gas, probably a bit earlier than he wanted to, and also make 4 Zerglings that are going to be needed to take out this pylon. This probe is also going to be very, very well aware of when the hatchery goes down. He's going to know exactly how many Zerglings Stephano made, and he's just going to be annoying and sort of keep the Zerg from expanding as long as possible. And it looks like White Raw is getting the Nexus down. He's not trying to do any sort of fake out of Stephano by making him think he's going to expand behind this, and then do maybe a fake expand 5-gate all-in. It just looks like he wanted to get out some fighting units as quickly as possible. And it looks like the Nexus is going to be about 40 seconds ahead of hatchery from Stephano. That's never a situation you want to be in. And White Raw now has 2 gateways up. He's moving out with a Zealot and a Probe. This sort of early pressure, 2 Zealots, I like that much more. This sort of early pressure is exactly what you need to do against the Zerg player, because given the chance, they're going to drone up like Redwood, and they're going to get up to 70, 80 drones very, very quickly, and you're not going to be able to do anything with that. But this early Zergling Zealot pressure forces your opponent to make Zerglings. So right now, 12 Zerglings are being made by Stephano. That's 6 larvae that could have been made by drones, made into drones. And I mean, White Raw is going to lose these Zealots most likely, although I do like this position. It's very nice. It prevents the surround from the Zerglings. But look at this. Stephano is at only 18 drones to the 22 of the Zerg player. You never want to be behind in drones. And it's just a very, very nice play from Stephano, and it looks like the Zerglings are going to get a bit of a surround on these Zealots, but the Zealots are going to do a decent amount of damage before they go down. And again, look at what the situation is right now. White Raw is up still 4 Harvesters, and if he does something sort of similar like that, what we see a lot of times out of players like Kiwi Kaki, is they do a very similar opening. They open up with a Forge and then the 2 gateways, and they open with a quick +1, push out with 2 or 4, maybe sometimes even 6 Zealots, and they're able to do significant damage to the to a quick third that the Zerg player has taken. White Raw, on the other hand, doing very similar tactic. He's moving in with 2 Zealots before the natural is up, and then forcing a bunch of Zerglings from his opponent. And that indirect economic damage is just a very, very nice thing to do. We do see that Stephano has gotten his third up about the same time, I would say, adjusted for the Zealot pressure, as he did in the previous game. And these Zerglings are scouting to make sure that White Draw hasn't hidden any pylons here, so he would be able to use the Warp and Zealots and sort of do damage to the third base right when it pops. And the game is sort of stabilizing into a more macro-oriented one, I suppose. We see that White Draw, though, still ahead in probes. It's very nice to see him continuing his probe production. Stephano, meanwhile, is continuing to mine gas. He's up to 150. He's beginning to get the Evo chamber, so he'll be dumping some gas into those, probably getting the +1 for his roaches, and it looks like the missile attacks should be starting very soon. He's doing decently, I guess, on drones. He's finally ahead of White Draw, but just barely. But we see that he's mining a lot of gas. We see 2 extractors taken, both of them being mined with a full complement of drones, but really he's not doing anything with that gas. So I'm kind of curious to see what he decides to do eventually. White Draw, on the other hand, dropping 6 additional gateways. Wow, he will be up to 7 gateways. And then there's a Robo Bay somewhere with a Warp Prism. So White Draw again turning to his patented Warp Gate harassment. I really like that option. There's a lot of dead space over here in the bases where he can do a sneaky warp. And there's also warping in up here for the third base, which let's see if he knows is there. No, White Draw doesn't know it's there, but I'm sure he suspects it. Unfortunately, this Overlord, I believe, did see the Warp Prism, and we see the Zerglings moving back to intercept and prevent it from doing all too much damage. But White Draw is dropping so many gates. He's actually up to 8 gateways right now. He's building a Robo Base, getting Colossus production fairly soon, but it looks like with those 8 gateways worth of production, the Zerglings are driven off, and it doesn't look like White Draw's going to, or sorry, Stephano's going to be able to hold this off. Stephano's bringing all of his units up here, and he actually gets in before the force field can really stop the roaches from coming in. He's able to evacuate 3 of the sentries, but really not all that much damage going on for White Draw. I really like this though. White Draw is getting the gravitic drive upgrade for his Warp Prisms. He's getting that actually before Thermal lands. It's really, really fun to see. We see him getting the Forge. The Warp Prism is moving around. It's able to do scouting at the very least. Just see what's going on. Maybe if he sees the army is a little bit slow keeping up to him, he can drop some sentries, do a little bit of damage to the mineral line of his opponent. But nothing like that. Stephano's too good on his feet. He's able to keep the Warp Prism from really doing anything. And we see why Stephano is actually still ahead on drones, very slightly though, only up to 63 drones. I'd like for him to be around 70, maybe 80 drones, especially with him taking this 4th base. Now, he is getting the Spire down. We'll see, is that because he is aware of the Colossus? I'm not sure if he knows the Colossus is there, but he knows the Robo Bay is out. Colossus is just 1 building away. I'm sure it's not too unexpected from White Draw. So he's getting the Spire out just to be completely safe. He's also spine following up outside of sort of his half of the map, which is something the more Zergs really need to do. The only problem is he's still only at 66 drones, only 6 ahead of his opponent. As a Zerg, you really want your economy to be very, very strong. We do see White Draw dropping his units right here in the Warp Prism, doing a little bit of damage to the hatchery, and then just picking up, going out, no damage taken. White Draw is getting ground weapons level 1. He's up to 2 Colossus with a 3rd on the way. Thermal Lance is about a 1/3 of the way done. So White Draw, I think, is going to have a fairly fearsome push coming out pretty soon. He's actually taking out one of his gateways to get out, so he'll be down to 7 gateways, but still, ooh, White Draw, come on, you gotta make this into a warp gate. But still, fearsome attack coming from White Draw if he decides to press the issue. I'm not sure if this will be all too effective though, just because there's been so much time for Stephano to macro up, and we see him actually making 15 Mutalisks. Wow. right as White Raw moves out. Now those Mutalisks are not as effective as Corruptors in dealing with the Colossus, but they still are able to do damage to them. Additionally, once that Mutaball gets large enough, it's going to be able to completely ignore Stalkers as well and just engage them head on. But we see White Raw is taking his third base. He wants to go for a bit of a longer game rather than any sort of two-base timing push, and we'll see how this really goes. White Raw is using his Mutalisk to take out the Warp Prism. He wants that. Sorry, Stephano is using his Mutalisk to take out the Warp Prism. He's really annoyed by that. He wants that gone. And White Raw's actually just moving in, taking a little bit of damage on the Colossi from these Fine Colors, but it doesn't really look like Stephano has the army to engage this head on. The Mutalisks are moving in. They're going to get some free shots on the Colossi. One goes down almost immediately. The second one as well. Wow, really, really interesting play from Stephano's opponent. Mutalisk to great effect. He's able to take out all of the Colossi, and now he's engaging the Stalker Bolt, but the Stalkers outnumber the Mutalisks, and the Mutalisks, they're doing fairly good damage to him, but White Raw is losing. Sorry, Stephano is losing a lot of them. He's down to only 9 Mutalisks. White Raw, GG's out. Let's look just briefly to see what White Raw had. Okay, so he knows that his opponent is on 4 bases. He's tried to get up his 4th base. Okay, sorry, his 3rd base. I guess that was a good decision. I mean, White Raw really has no units to his name, and Stephano is going to be able to overwhelm him with just pure Mutalisk harass. Very well played by Stephano. The series is tied 1-1.